We both spoke as a presenter at HATA, which is our local annual symposium. And honestly, even though I'm doing the podcast and stuff, this has taken a lot of practice for me to even get to this point to feel remotely comfortable speaking about anything. But for you, I think it comes more naturally than me for sure. And that's one thing I think athletic trainers or any healthcare professional, it's learning how to communicate effectively to the whoever it is. You could be in a meeting talking to the leaders, making sure that they understand what some of the, I guess, the issues that you're seeing that could be improved, or even just getting your soldier to buy in, right? And I think that's a overlooked asset sometimes, or skill to develop, is like effective communication. That is huge. No matter what you're doing, you don't have to be in a healthcare profession, but with anything, if you have all the knowledge but you can't communicate it, you're stuck. It's really useless at that point. Is there anything that you have to share about that? Because I know you do a lot of educational workshops, meetings, seminars, and what have you learned, I guess, in that aspect of your profession, the communication or presenting approach?
The communication piece is big because if you look at the age spectrum that we service, we can get 17, 18, 19-year-olds that are fresh out of high school. This is our first duty station, and you start throwing around fancy terms and it's just like they're gone, right? They're checked out. Then you have senior leaders that have been in the game for 20, 25, 30 years, and they got 2 stars, 3, 4 stars on their chest, and they're like 2 master's degrees, doctorate degrees, advanced war college, medals, it can be very intimidating. And I will say, it's okay to be nervous. And I think one of the things, as I think we spoke about this, I remember you telling me that you're practicing communication and leaders, and I think one of the biggest things I've learned to do is to know what your physiological responses are when you start to talk. And I think I remember telling you this, right?
Yes.
Do your palms get sweaty? Do you stutter? Those are key indicators. I think learning about ourselves is big. Reviewing video of what are your tendencies. Do you talk a lot with your hands? Are you expressive in comedic nature? Those are things that intrigue people. From our medical perspective, one of the communication aspects that I try to hone in on is what we say matters. And I kind of stole that phrase from Nick Winkelman. And the biggest thing I think in the medical industry is we tell people what not to do, or we give them very traumatic news, right? As opposed to being empathetic and saying, hey, instead of saying don't run anymore, it's bad for you. You might want to say something like, hey, let's ease off on the running and let's find an alternative event so that we can hopefully get you back to where you want to be. It takes on a little bit of a different connotation, right? And they receive it a little different. Because when you're very negative to somebody, that's what they chew on, right? They're only going to take in 25% of what you say, and so that 25% could have just been, oh, don't run anymore. And how many times have you heard oh, doc told me not to run anymore? It's bad for my knees. But was there ever a solution to that problem? Or was there ever any effort to try to get you back? Because for me to tell a soldier not to run, and then his leader tells him he has to run or they have to run, that's out of my control. So you kind of have to know where you're going to send them. And I think communication is big because, again, it's almost like empathy and being sympathetic as well. It's understanding what to convey, when to convey it, right? When to crack a joke and when to be serious.
Yes, exactly.
When to repeat something 3 or 4 times so they can pick up on it and they know it's an important fact. I think that's big. I'm very bad with names. I am horrible with names, right? And if I only see you once or twice, I don't remember. And I'm glad they have their name tape because I can see their name all the time. But knowing people's names is huge, and that's something I'm guilty of, and I'm still trying to be better at. It's understanding that knowing somebody's name is big because now it feels a little more personal. But yeah, communication is huge. I think it's something that we don't practice enough. Either we don't have enough time for, or we don't have enough people that are willing to share like techniques and trades of talking and how to communicate. I think it's just assumed that we know how to communicate because we can talk. But it's big. I think it's in the military. I remember I was sitting in a meeting and this is probably one of the few times I've lost my words. I went blank. And I was asked to deploy to Afghanistan.
Oh man!
Like, how would you feel?
Exactly.
And I was like, I don't know what you mean, sir.
Yeah,
like, what do you say?
Yeah.
I have to get back to you on that?
Yes.
And so at that instance, you kind of figure out, and that's what happened. I started sweating. My heart started racing.
Yeah.
I got very nervous and jittery. And I've spoken to that group multiple times, you know, but it can be something as a trigger like that sets you off path. How do you bring yourself back?
Yes.
You know, how do you control that? And so what some techniques that I've learned, a little bit of secrets that I've done is you'll notice I'll slow down when I start to talk. Prolong breaks in between words. I think that's big because you start to notice if you get hot, you start to sweat, you start to get agitated, you fumble, then you notice that you're out of control.
Yes, it starts to spiral downhill. After that.
So those are some things I think we can work on. Communication's big. Understanding and studying people, how they communicate is big. Filming yourself. You know, like film yourself and see what you do. Natural tendencies.
Yes.
Put a couple Facebook lives up and see what happens, you know?
I know live will not hide anything. But no, I think that's a good message because that has helped, I would say, a lot of your success in your position and everything to effectively relate to people, communicate the message, and also find out what is needed to be done, like what you can do to accommodate or service these soldiers and units better.